When I saw that our daily word for today was inspired by the prayer of faith, I asked Jan and Nina to learn the song that was written to the prayer of faith. It is something that every Sunday school kid, is this on? Yeah. Okay. So it's something that every Sunday school kid used to learn in Unity. I know that in my different ministries that I've been in, we had kids write them on the walls, color them, and take them home, in signs. We had them posted all over the place in the church, and we had it sung. And, like many of the things in our hymnal, might not be the greatest tune, but what Charles Fillmore said about some of these tunes is they're like those really semi-annoying songs that once you sing them, they keep going on in your head over and over again, right? And so he actually wanted people to use those kind of roller derby kind of songs, or those kind of, 3-note songs, so that you would hear it in your head. And so number 78 is our song, and it is the prayer of faith. That was the first prayer ever commissioned in Unity in the 1800s, and it it's to a tune that's from the 17th century, I see, but Hannah Mae Moore Cohouse actually was the person who wrote this prayer. And it is a prayer to memorize and to have your kids memorize. It really is something that our co-founder said, if you say it and you believe it, it will heal anything. So let's stand and have Jan and Nina lead us in this prayer of faith as we sing it together.
God is my help in every need. God does my every hunger feed. God walks beside me, guides my way through every moment of the day. I now am wise, I now am true, patient, kind, and loving too. All things I am can do and be through Christ the truth that is in me. God is my health, I can't be sick. God is my strength, unfailing quick. God is my all, I know no fear, since God and love and truth are His.
Many years ago, I lived in a place called Guerrilla, which means faith. And it was one of those intentional communities. People used to call it like a fantasy Disneyland community. And we were the first house in the development. I used to sit on my back porch, listen to the whippoorwills at night, and look at the longleaf pine and hear the woodpeckers, and it was just really majestic. And then one day, I heard the bulldozers coming, and they just clear-cut the entire backyard. That was like nesting places for roseate spoonbills and cranes, and over hundreds of species of birds. It was part of the St. Johns River estuary in Florida. And I was so sad. And my friend said, Do you remember when you used to try and, protest against them developing the estuary? Do you remember what that was like? And then you bought a piece of that property, like, serves you right. And I really felt a lot of pain in watching the destruction of that environment. I didn't know what to do with it. And so one day I wrote this piece I'm going to share with you now. And it became my way home. Today, now, in this moment, I awaken to a new day. A day with infinite possibilities. A day which has never been before today, right now, in this moment. I promise myself that I will dig down deep beneath the cement and the blacktop of my own soul. And I will remember what sustains me. It's not possessions or fame. It's not personal achievement or the good opinion of others. It's this community. It's this sacred ground we walk upon, this holy Mother Earth, whose rivers I drink and whose bounty fills my belly today. Now, in this moment, I promise that I will reach out and touch a fellow citizen of this planet, and I will run my fingers through their fur, rustle their feathers, feel their scales, shell, skin. And I'll remember what sustains us. It's not money. It's not things. It's love and beauty and breath and death that sustains us. And so I pray, may all beings be well and happy. Say that with me. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. To this I dedicate this day. These can be confusing times we live in. Times when you don't know what to believe. And the most challenging problems, I think, on our planet right now have to do with dis-ease. Really being uncomfortable on all levels. Really being disturbed in mind, body, and spirit. With deception all around us. Many of us not knowing who to believe or what to believe. Some things that people say that we just don't really want to believe make a lot of sense. And that can be disturbing, cause a little cognitive dissonance there. And then other things that people that we trust and really want to believe in say we don't agree with at all. These are times when we are learning just exactly what it means to trust our gut, to discern, We have been so bamboozled. Don't you love that word, bamboozled? I just love it because, you know, it kind of takes the charge off of deceived, you know, lied to, you know, bamboozled because we don't realize it. And we can't admit what we don't understand or we don't know. We see people spew utter nonsense. I mean, verbal venom, and get lauded for it. And we don't know what to do about that many times. It is so confusing. And there are people who probably have the emotional intelligence of maybe a 10-year-old who are just throwing tantrums and saying, this is how I feel and this is what I think and I have a right to think and feel this way, and being given all this attention for it. And sometimes I just want to scream. This is the psychologist in me. Stop! STOP. Stop. It's a perfect acronym developed by cognitive behavioral therapists to teach people not to react, but to learn, to put some pause in between what they perceive and how they react to it. It's a basic level of sanity. I'm going to tell you more about that. But I want to say this first, that what we believe, that word itself, believe, is what we give life to. And that has power, all these powers. What I want to shout many times in the rare moments that I watch television, because I don't even own one, is the cause of your suffering is the belief and the delusional ideas that you create. And those resentments of those ideas, those rechurning of those ideas, cause more suffering in you and in this world and in everyone around you. Many of us have been thinking and feeling and expressing what we do not want in our lives. And that keeps us depleted energetically and emotionally and contributes to our lack of health. We know this to be a scientific fact now, that negative thoughts, chronic negative feelings, fear and anger especially, cause chemical and biological changes in our body that ultimately lead to disease. That is a fact. Thoughts held in mind tend to reproduce after their kind, like a train wreck. And they form pathways in your brain that make it easier for you to think that way and feel that way the next time. The brains of chronically angry and depressed people are different as a result of what they think. If you take a depressed person and have them simply look up and notice something green, it actually boosts their serotonin. It actually changes the way they feel. How simple is that? And yet how many of us do it? One of my funniest experiments that I love to talk about is the experiment of the gorilla on the bus. So they were studying people who were clinically depressed, diagnosed as clinically depressed. And they were doing things that they would hope that would help them to feel better. And so they did all kinds of things. And one of the things they did is they put like somebody dressed as a gorilla on the bus with them to make them laugh. But no one noticed. Because no one was looking. You know, when you're depressed. Yeah. And just the action of this, just that action alone, and then actually looking out at something green can help you to feel better. We think things are so complicated. Stop believing everything you think. Stop believing what you've been told by others who do not have your best interest in mind. Stop it. Tuning in and taking in your old family beliefs, your cultural negative beliefs, the advertisers, what they would have you believe, all of the unconscious messages of consensus cultural reality that are destroying your ability to be radiantly healthy and alive. STOP is a perfect acronym for learning to stay centered no matter what. And there's many versions of this when people teach cognitive behavioral therapy, which basically is the idea that stuff happens in life and some people see it a certain way and other people see it another way. And the way we see it actually affects the way we feel, but nothing about that changes. The events and the people don't change. The only thing that has changed is you, by the way you think about it, by the way you interpret it, by the way you continue to feel about it. So basic CBT begins when you can actually stop. Literally, when anything happens to you that distresses you, you stop and press the pause button and take a chill pill and literally sit and do nothing. And take, that's the T part. So S is stop. The T is take 3 conscious deep breaths. 3 conscious, slow, deep, and even breaths will bring you back to sanity. Because what happens when you're under stress is your brain, the prefrontal cortex of your brain, disconnects from the rest of you. Because when you're anxious and stressed and angry and mad and feeling out of sorts, your body thinks, your brain thinks, fight or flight. You know, I have to protect myself. So it disconnects from the part of you that has the capacity for advanced thinking. That's the truth. And you're only functioning from your most primitive brain. To give you the energy to run away from the super, big tiger or something, it's an instinct. So to get your brain back, to get your conscious awareness back, the quickest way is simply breathe. Oxygenate your brain. And you can even place your hand for a moment on your head, your heart, and your gut. As you take those 3 breaths, you can affirm that my brain is connected to my heart, is connected to my gut. I am a whole person. making decisions from my whole self. So that's the T part. O is observe. Simply breathe and observe. What am I thinking? What am I feeling in my body? How's my heart rate? Is it still beating really fast? Is my whole body in a knot? Keep breathing and observing and noticing. And look within and all around you. Meditate with your eyes open. What's really happening? What's going on? Going in and out. And then P, proceed with love. Proceed slowly, consciously, with compassion for yourself and everyone else, caring for your heart and your brain. If you take just a few moments to stop, if you take just a few moments to put a pause between you and your reactions, guaranteed, you'll feel better about yourself and your life. All feelings are okay. It's when we're attached to them over time that they're not. It's when they are commingled with hateful thoughts, stinking thinking, and become chronic unconscious reactivity. So this is something you can do to help yourself, to do the work, to evolve emotionally. Because you can't evolve spiritually until you evolve emotionally. They go hand in hand. We are having a worldwide pandemic of dis-ease, a crisis of health and wellness, and the entire way that we look at physical disease has been completely manipulated. Let me just remind you, dis-ease is not normal. On a continuum from 0 to 10, dis-ease is to the left of center, and there's a whole lot of life to the right of center. Positive, uplifting, radiant well-being is your birthright. There are no incurable diseases. In case you don't know, this is like a Trevor Noah moment. In case you don't know, now you know. The American Medical Association is a trade lobby organization founded for the financial benefit of doctors. And Big Pharma is international for-profit big business. So those two things together have convinced us over some pretty big ticket marketing over many years of time. So much money has been spent to convince us that we can't live without them. We can't survive. We can't live. We can't be well or happy without drugs and American medical doctors. Women can't even give birth without one anymore, right? It's not natural. That was a marketing campaign that did a big disservice to women. So think about it. Think about about what it takes to be alive and well. One time I was at Findhorn. I love Findhorn so much. So progressive, so beautiful in so many ways, and so human. It's a community in Scotland that's really been on the forefront of spiritual development. But like the rest of us, human. And there was this meeting where people were saying that there was only a certain amount of food left on the planet and that we were just all going to die. And I had to laugh. I mean, seriously, a place that grew out of a garden as the center of its life was having people so in fear of not being able to feed it. There isn't a one of us in this room that couldn't feed ourselves if we put our mind to it. There's no one of us in this room that couldn't grow enough sprouts and vegetables and whatever it is we needed to survive. Who put that in your mind? Those beliefs, those ideas are just that. They're just beliefs. They're just an idea. Actually, we've had more than enough to feed this entire planet and then some for decades, maybe more than that, maybe forever. But we know it for sure that we do now, and we hoard it still instead of share it. We hoard it. People die of starvation because we hoard what we don't need. In the early 1900s, Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman took a contingent of spiritual people over to visit Mahatma Gandhi. And he asked Gandhi, why do you think that Christianity hasn't succeeded in bringing more love and more peace into the world? And Gandhi went into a deep meditation, wanting to verbalize his truth, because for him, truth is his religion, right? There's a story about Gandhi that, a kid, his mother came and said, tell him not to eat sugar, it's bad for him. And Gandhi said, come back in a month. He came back in a month and Gandhi said, don't eat sugar, it's bad for you. And the mother said, why did you tell me to come back in a month? He said, because I had to stop using sugar. I love that story. So Gandhi thought about it. What has kept, because Gandhi believed in the teachings of Jesus Christ, and he founded his whole nonviolent movement that freed India based on the teachings of Jesus. And he said, simply, Christians, we have to take responsibility for that. Christianity hasn't failed. It's just rarely been tried. There is a poem that I think might help in this moment of trying to evolve and transform from good, bad, right, wrong, judgmental, unforgiving, violent tendencies to a more spacious, multidimensional, holistic consciousness. That is our task right now. Integration. And one of the things that you have to be able to do to achieve that is to hold many different ideas in your mind. Have the ability for divergent thinking. Have the ability for creative thinking and critical thought. And those are not things we're born with. Those are things we have to develop. We have to be comfortable in paradoxes. We have to learn how to think in those ways. And our brain evolves and connects in different ways when we push ourselves to think deeply and creatively and out of the box. That's what adults do. So here's the poem by Mark E. Poe. I am so sad, and everything's beautiful. Everything is beautiful, and I'm so sad. This is how the heart makes a duet of wonder and grief. The light spraying through the lace of the fern is as delicate as the fibers of memory forming their web around the knot of my throat. The breeze makes the birds move from branch to branch as this ache makes me look for those who I've lost. Death. It's in the sleeve of your shirt as an African proverb. No one goes to their grave wishing they had more stuff to take with them. The Zen masters say, you're worried about death? Don't worry, you'll die for sure. So, we need to put death on the top of our to-do list and contemplate death so we can learn how to live better. I leave you with a story that always helps me to stay centered no matter what. And you may have heard this story before. It's in every world religion in many different forms. How many of you know the humble farmer and the great stallion story? Okay, so here's the line I want you to remember. It could be good, it could be bad. Say that. All I can really say for certain, this is what's happening now. Thank you, God, Goddess, all that is. One more time. It could be good. It could be bad. All I can really say for certain, this is what's happening right now. Thank you, God, Goddess, all it is. Thank you, God. So I'm going to change the story a little bit because, I have this wonderful person that lives right down the road in Solvang, Monty Roberts, the horse whisperer. So instead of the humble farmer and the great stallion, we're going to talk about the horse whisperer and the wild Mustang. So there was this horse whisperer, and a wild Mustang followed him home. If you haven't seen the movie Shy Boy, it's true. Happened right here in your neighborhood. And all the people from all over the world came to see this wild Mustang and to learn from this horse whisperer how to gentle a horse without violence. And they said to this man, you must be in the grace of God because you have this most wonderful flag is up farms and this wild Mustang has followed you home. And do you know what the horse whisperer said? It could be good. Together, it could be bad. All we can really say for certain is, this is what's happening right now. Thank you, God, Goddess, all it is. Well, one day, out of the clear blue, that Mustang ran away, never to be seen from again. And the horse whisperer was confronted with a mob of distressed neighbors saying, what'd you do? Fall out of the grace of God? This is a terrible thing. Now you don't have Shy Boy anymore, so no one's going to come here. You're a fake. And the horse whisperer said, it could be good, it could be bad. All I can really say for certain is, this is what's happening right now. Thank you, God. Goddess, all it is. Whatever you call love. So weeks and weeks went by. Nothing happened. And then out of nowhere, the Mustang came back with a herd of wild horses. And the horse whisperer just opened the gate and they all went in. And people came again from all over the world saying, wow, you are just the luckiest man on earth. You are the beloved of God. You have grace. And what do you think the horse whisperer said? It could be good. It could be bad. All I can really say for certain is this is what's happening right now. Thank you, God. God is all it is. The very next day, the horse whisperer was trying to teach his son how to gentle a horse, and the horse bucked, and the child went flying and severely broke his leg. And what do you think people said? Terrible thing. It was a terrible thing that happened. And what do you think the horse whisperer said? It could be good. It could be bad. All I can really say for certain is my son broke his leg. Thank you, God. God is all it is. Well, the very next day, the government decided to draft all able-bodied men into a war that was happening in the Middle East. And guess what? The horse whisperer's son could not go because he had a broken leg. And so the people said, wow, you really are graced. And what did he say? It could be good, it could be bad. All we can really say for certain is this is what's happening right now. Thank you, God. So I leave you with that thought that oftentimes there's a far greater thing going on than we can currently see. And one of the ways to stay centered is to stop and also to affirm and to know, I don't know. God bless us all.